Right now, on To the Point, a new public health initiative.
We're trying to just cut through all the BS that's going on in Washington, D.C.
Why the state says the move is necessary and what it could mean for Californians. Terror plot stopped.
These bombs were to blow up at the same time on midnight this New Year's Eve.
The FBI revealing new details tonight about the explosives and the targets. The court battle begins over California's new congressional maps, why California Republicans are asking a judge to do away with them. And mark your calendars for changes for the California State Fair, when the fair will now run and why officials say the change is needed.
But first, we start with the battle over healthcare. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. In response to what he calls attacks on truth and science, Governor Newsom today announced the launch of a new public health initiative. It's led by several former top CDC officials. ABC 10's Becca Habegger has more on what the group plans to do.
In the first year of his second term in office, President Donald Trump and his Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have cast doubts on the necessity, efficacy, and safety of several vaccines for various groups. In June, Trump and RFK Jr. replaced all 17 members of the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices. Some of the new appointees were known vaccine skeptics. Since then, for example, the Advisory Committee has dropped the recommendation that all Americans get the COVID-19 shot. And earlier this month, the advisory panel voted to stop recommending all newborns receive the hepatitis B vaccine, reversing a recommendation in place for 3 decades. Kennedy has defended the changes, including firing the CDC director, Dr. Susan Menares, who had reportedly been disagreeing with Kennedy about vaccine policy.
If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
In the wake of Menares' firing, several CDC officials resigned in protest, including Dr. Deborah Oury, former CDC chief medical officer. Now, Oury and Menares are leaders of the newly announced Public Health Network Innovation Exchange, or Phoenix, a new California-led initiative to modernize public health infrastructure and maintain trust in science-driven decision-making.
We're trying to just cut through all the BS that's going on in Washington, D.C., and the vandalism and the wrecking ball on truth and trust.
Governor Gavin Newsom, in a virtual news conference Monday, said the creation of Phoenix is in direct response to changes at the CDC pushed by Kennedy and Trump.
All the anxiety that people are feeling, the confusion they're feeling, they said, well, what can we do? And this is exactly the answer to that question.
The public health experts of Phoenix will work alongside Governor Newsom and the California Department of Public Health.
California is investing and innovating now to build the public health systems that will protect lives, strengthen communities, and create a future in which all Californians can thrive.
She and Newsom say this new initiative will follow the science and evidence. In Sacramento, Becca Habegger, ABC 10.
We reached out to the White House for a response. We did not hear back by deadline. We also asked the governor's office how much the state is spending on his public health network. His office directed our question to the CDPH, and we did not hear back immediately. In last month's special election, California voters overwhelmingly passed Proposition 50, the ballot measure to temporarily redraw the state's congressional lines. But the future of those maps sits in limbo as a legal battle is now playing out. Today was the first day of what is expected to be a 3-day hearing on the future of Proposition 50. Not even a day after Newsom's victory speech, the California Republican Party, including Assembly member David Tonkipa of Fresno, filed the suit. Tonkipa is asking the 3-judge panel to do away with these maps by Friday, December 19th, the first major date in the candidate filing period for 2026.
California did not have a justification to use race to draw more Latino majority districts.
The lawsuit alleges the redrawn maps are unconstitutionally using race to advance political interest, favoring Hispanic and Latino voters in gerrymandering. But despite similar concerns over race in Texas's maps, that they were suppressing minority votes, we know that the Supreme Court upheld their redistricting.
So if they determined that the Texas maps were drawn for political purposes and that's acceptable, then there's no reason that they shouldn't make the exact same finding for California's maps.
McKaylee adds that an expedited appeal will likely be filed to the Supreme Court regardless of which side wins. Well, tonight, Hollywood is reeling from the deaths of director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. The two were found dead Sunday in their Los Angeles home as friends and family honor the celebrated couple. One of their sons is now accused of their murder. Nick Reiner was booked for murder and is being held on a $4 million bail. Rob Reiner is considered one of the best American filmmakers of all time. His directing credits include classics from The Princess Bride, Stand By Me. Of course, there's A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally, the iconic movie. You know, that was actually the film set that he met and fell in love with his wife, Michelle, on. Now, before turning to directing, Reiner was an actor best known for his role as Archie Bunker's son-in-law on the TV show All in the Family.
It's a seismic shock because Rob Reiner is such an outsized presence in the entertainment community. I mean, he's almost the mayor of Hollywood. He's such an affable, genial person.
The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office has not yet determined any criminal charges in the case. Governor Gavin Newsom also speaking out today about Reiner's death.
I was out there feeling a little alone doing same-sex marriage in 2004. It was Rob who reached out. It's how I got to know him, saying he had my back at a time when a lot of members of my own party, the Democratic Party, didn't. And so he's been a friend for decades.
While fans and Hollywood mourns the Reiner's death, President Donald Trump went on social media, his social media outlet, blaming the director's killing on his outspoken opposition to the president. Trump claiming the late director had an affliction with a disease that he calls, quote, Trump derangement system. A number of lawmakers are speaking out against Trump's remarks. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene responded by saying, quote, this is a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies. Now, we know that the White House did not respond to the criticism it is receiving and calls for Trump to take that post down. ABC News does plan to honor Rob Reiner in a special edition of 2020 titled The Rob Reiner Story, a Hollywood Tragedy. You can watch it tomorrow night at 10 p.m. right here on ABC 10. Federal prosecutors say they thwarted a major bomb attack that was scheduled to happen on New Year's Eve in Southern California. 4 people are now in custody suspected of planning the attacks, and authorities say that each have ties to what they call an extremist anti-government group. Reporter Christian Cordero has the details for us tonight.
Today, federal prosecutors announced 4 people are now in custody. Investigators say they were plotting major coordinated bomb attacks across Southern California.
These bombs were to blow up at the same time on midnight this New Year's Eve. The plan stated that the IEDs would be complex pipe bombs.
The criminal complaint shows the materials the group allegedly used to make improvised explosive devices in what prosecutors describe as a disrupted terror plot. According to the complaint, the group was testing explosives in the Mojave Desert on Friday to eventually hide in backpacks and place near at least 5 businesses across Southern California on New Year's Eve. Video surveillance released by investigators shows the suspects overhead soon before they were arrested.
It strikes me this is another undercover operation potentially. In other words, there was at least an agent or an informant in with this group, because how would you know to run aerial surveillance unless you had somebody on the ground telling you that was about to occur?
Officials say they also found various anti-government posters in the home of one suspect, Audrey Carroll. Prosecutors allege she and the other suspects were part of a radical faction of the group Turtle Island Liberation Front, recruiting others to be part of future attacks,
which included plans to target ICE agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll stated that those plans would, quote, take some of them out and scare the rest.
Prosecutors announced 1 charge filed against each of the defendants today, with additional charges that are expected. All right, still a lot of news to get to. A group from Texas claims it helped to broker a gang ceasefire in Stockton after a deadly mass shooting. But local officials say they know nothing about it. And prices keep climbing, and Americans are really feeling the pinch, even with the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, while experts say higher costs aren't going away anytime soon.
And we've been under the Thule fog for a long time, but the pattern is finally about to change. We'll talk about rain chances after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight.
It says, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate the property immediately.
Evacuation orders are in effect in 3 Seattle suburbs after a levee failed after a week of heavy rain. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning covering nearly 47,000 people. The evacuation orders covers homes and businesses east of the Green River. Fentanyl is now classified as a weapon of mass destruction in the United States. President Donald Trump today marking the historic executive order. It's not clear yet how the designation would affect administration policy or what the legal implications would be for those impacted by fentanyl use or drug traffickers. And a killer is still on the loose after a mass shooting Saturday at Brown University. 2 students were killed and 9 others were hurt. A person of interest was detained in connection with the attack and then released. The Brown University shooting follows at least 75 school shootings in the United States this year.
Another cold day here in Sacramento. Let's get things over to meteorologist Brendan Minchef.
Yeah, this month has been basically the pattern on repeat. Every day has felt the same except for December 3rd when we had some sunshine and temps in the 60s. Other than that, it's looked a lot like this. 45 in Sacramento, 44 in Stockton, 44 in Modesto, 43 up in Orville, 50s and 60s in the foothills, 40s and 60s up in the high country. Right now, temperatures still in the 40s, as you would expect. Still gray, still overcast in the valley. 54 in Placerville, 35 in Tahoe, and 41 in Truckee. All right, Tuesday morning, cold with some patchy fog. Temperatures in those low to middle 40s across the valley. In the 40s and 50s in the foothills, though, 20s to about 30 in the high country. We'll have some clouds passing overhead. And here's an icon we haven't seen for a little while. We're going to have some rain chances north of Sacramento. So places like Fort Bragg up in towards Ukiah, then Oroville, Marysville, that upper kind of central to upper part of the Sacramento Valley. Perhaps even Truckee could see some showers tomorrow. Here's a look at Futurecast as we head through the overnight. This is now early in the morning, Tuesday, 4 o'clock in the morning. There's some of those light showers passing north of Sacramento. I'm not really expecting to see much in the capital city, nor am I expecting to see really anything at all in the San Joaquin Valley through the daytime tomorrow. Some very light showers are possible, but this is a recent run of the model here, kind of extending those shower chances south. Some better chances will develop as we head into the overnight hours Tuesday, Wednesday. There you see Wednesday morning, some better rain chances for Sacramento and areas south. But all this is really just going to be some nuisance rain. Not going to see big totals out of this, and we're not going to see any snow either. It's going to be a cold storm. We are going to see another storm approaching by the time we get late into Thursday and then into Friday, though, mainly for the north coast. But then we'll start to see some rain chances closer to home. Snow levels Tuesday, Wednesday, because this is a warm atmospheric river, going to be very high, 9,000 feet or above. As we head into the weekend, it comes down a little bit with our next round of rain, but we're still going to be looking at some very high snow levels above 8,000 feet. And again, it's all because of where this storm is coming from. This is an atmospheric river originating near Hawaii, and you know that means we can call it a Pineapple Express. So as that Pineapple Express comes in, both tomorrow, Wednesday, and then into Friday, into the weekend, because it's a warm storm, we are going to have warmer temperatures to go with it. And that's keeping those snow levels quite high. We're even moving through the weekend into next week, and we're still talking about this atmospheric river bringing rain to California. Closer to Christmas, we could see some rain, some heavier rain down in Southern California. But over the next 10 days here, we are moving out of this Thule fog pattern and into a very wet pattern just in time for the holidays, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. A Stockton gang ceasefire claim is under scrutiny tonight. A Texas-based nonprofit says it helped broker a short-term truce after this month's mass shooting, but local officials say they weren't involved. And the California State Fair is making a big change to make your visit a little bit more comfortable. Tonight, a fact check on claims made by a Texas-based nonprofit that says they helped broker a temporary gang ceasefire in Stockton following the deadly mass shooting. ABC 10's Nazi Javid went to the city and county officials to verify those claims.
Hello and happy holidays from all of us here at the Youth, Peace and Justice Foundation and the Uvalde Foundation for Kids.
The Youth, Peace and Justice Foundation, also known as the Uvalde Foundation for Kids, claims it helped broker a short-term gang ceasefire in Stockton after the November mass shooting that killed 4 people, including children. To verify that claim, I went to local officials, starting with the San Joaquin Sheriff's Office, who said it was not involved in, briefed on, or asked to verify the claims contained in a recently circulated announcement referencing a so-called conditional truce. At this time, no information has been provided identifying who participated in a meeting, how any claimed agreement would be monitored, enforced, or sustained, or if any agreement was in fact made. The Stockton Police Department told me they had not had any contact with that group. Mayor Christina Fugazi's office told me it was not contacted about any ceasefire meeting and was not aware of the organization from Texas. So I tried to get answers directly from the foundation. I emailed, texted, and called the foundation and its founder repeatedly. They twice said they would make representatives available but never followed through. Calls to multiple publicly listed phone numbers went unanswered or were non-working. The foundation said in emails to ABC 10 they modeled the gang ceasefire agreement after the Group Violence Intervention, or GVI, program pioneered by David Kennedy, a criminal justice professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
I've never heard of these folks, of this organization, if it actually is an organization. I would be slightly suspicious that this was a violence prevention proposal that was put together by ChatGPT or something like that. It makes absolutely no sense.
Kennedy tells ABC 10 Stockton already has a GVI program in place since 1997, and he was part of the team that implemented it.
There is no such thing in practice of people who work with cities to do violence prevention going public and essentially trying to extort them into action. It is not possible for people to parachute into a new city without having any background or any relationships and work with warring groups to stop their warring.
The foundation says the so-called truce will end on January 2nd at midnight. They said the, quote, principal drivers agreed to keep schools and community centers as neutral zones, off limit for conflict engagement. The foundation also says the people who attended the meeting agreed to suspend drive-by shootings. Just moments ago, the foundation also sent us a lengthy response to the claims made by the city of Stockton. We will have that up on our website over at abc10.com. All right, jumping into your price points tonight, we are in the thick of the season, giving holiday, but many shoppers are actually cutting back this year. Along with tariffs, inflation, and weak hiring, many of U.S. adults say they've noticed higher than usual prices for many items in the recent months. According to a December poll, 87% of U.S. adults recently saw higher prices than usual for their groceries. 69% saw electricity rates go up. 63% say they experienced higher prices for holiday gifts, and then 49% say that gas was more expensive. According to a Gallup Index poll, consumers also indicated less enthusiasm for spending money on holiday gifts. Their estimated gift budgets decreased by more than $200 between October and November. Experts say to avoid tariff-related price increases, try checking out secondhand stores and discount retailers like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and then also there's always Home Goods that you can check out. And this week, the Bureau of Labor Statistics will release their final Consumer Price Index report for the year. The CPI is a key gauge of inflation because it really looks at how much the price of a variety of goods and services changes month to month. It's the first inflation report since September due to that long government shutdown.
From groceries to natural gas and electric bills, costs are rising and consumers are feeling the crunch, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report.
People are still frustrated because we saw prices rise quite quickly coming out of the pandemic. They're never going back down.
Because of inflation, the most recent data shows American households are spending $208 more a month to purchase the same goods and services as they were a year ago, and more than $1,000 a month more than they did at the start of 2021, according to data from Moody's Analytics.
We hear loud and clear how people are experiencing really costs.
Last week, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates by 0.25 percentage point, which will make it cheaper to borrow money for things like credit cards and car loans. One of the reasons they lowered rates was because they say inflation is cooling.
If you get away from tariffs, inflation is in the low twos, right? So it's really tariffs that's causing most of the inflation overshoot.
Powell says inflation due to tariffs will likely be short-lived, but experts say that doesn't mean costs will come down.
Inflation, it might slow down, but we're still going to have higher prices.
Many experts say the best way for consumers to feel better about the economy is for wages to increase.
The California State Fair says goodbye to the heat of July. Mark your calendars. The big event will soon run at a different time of the year. That's after the break. Big changes are coming to the California State Fair, starting with the 2027 season. The fair will move from its traditional midsummer schedule to September 17th through October 3rd. The decision comes after several years of analysis and planning by State Fair staff. The change is intended to, of course, reduce the impact of all that summer heat and provide better operating conditions for vendors, partners, and stakeholders. The upcoming 2026 California State Fair, though, will proceed as scheduled, running from July 17th through August 2nd. And here's what we're keeping an eye on for tomorrow. Attorney General Rob Bonta plans to announce another lawsuit against the Trump administration. This one is related to the environment, so this would be the 50th lawsuit in Trump's second term, something we'll be keeping our eye on and bringing updates. As always, thank you so much for watching and for inviting us into your home. If you have something that you think we should be looking into, you know you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. And don't forget, you can always download our free ABC 10 app to your TV to watch whenever you want. You can catch up on shows or stories that you might have missed. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.